Last night, a big to-do in Pittsburgh, Heinz Field. It was Ben Roethlisberger's last home game, most likely. I mean, I see no way they're bringing him back. I don't even care if they can't find a replacement. Can't bring back Big Ben. But you know who else's last game it was, at least for this season, was Baker Mayfield's. And Rob Baker struggled mightily. They both were bad. Check this out. Check this line out for Big Ben. Rob, he was 24 for 46. Okay, that's barely over 50%.
Chris. That's horrendous.
But that ain't nothing. Wait till you hear how many yards he threw for. 123.
That's on 46 throws.
Attempts, 2.7 yards per throw. 123 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception. But here's Baker's line. 16 for 38. 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. He was sacked 9 times. We know Baker's been banged up all year, and he's got the torn labrum in his off shoulder, not his throwing shoulder, his off shoulder. So he played through it. But Robbie came out today. He's going to have surgery immediately, and he is going to miss the season finale, which he should. Let's keep it real. Here's what I want to throw at you, Rob. Should the Cleveland Browns move on? Like, should this have been Baker Mayfield's last game with the Browns? He was a number 1 pick in the draft. They passed up Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. That's gotta hurt. But anyway, they're strapped with Baker, and should they just get rid of him, Rob, or should they bring him back?
The Cleveland Browns should be ashamed of themselves.
Wow.
Of what they put Baker Mayfield through. And I'm not saying he's the second coming of anybody or he's the greatest quarterback since sliced bread. But, Chris, this guy has tried to play through injuries all year for them. And I think it's wrong for people to pile on this guy who last year played relatively well. I should take that out. He played well for them. They won 11 games. They went to the playoffs. There's no denying that, Chris. He played well. They won a playoff game against their arch rival, the Pittsburgh Steelers, blew them out, came back this year, didn't get the contract. I get that if they wanted to wait longer, but he played well enough that they could have. And he could have, I know it's not the throwing shoulder, but he's still an injury and other stuff that's going on.
He could have gotten a contract?
No. I'm talking about last year they could have if they wanted to, if they really wanted to re-up them after winning a playoff game. I'm just saying they could have if they wanted to.
Okay.
They asked this guy to go out there and grit it out and fight through it and try for your team because, coming into the season, listen to all the NFL analysts. They had a Super Bowl roster, so he was trying to make it work. And trying to stay in there. Isaiah Thomas did it in Boston, came back early from an injury to play for the Celtics. Guess what that got him? Home dinner and a show and no $100 million contract. In fact, he hadn't been paid since by anybody in the NBA except for 10-day contracts. That's why, Baker Mayfield, you don't play hurt. You don't do it, especially when you haven't gotten your contract. They pimped you. The Cleveland Browns pimped you, Baker Mayfield. They will use you as a scapegoat. They will use you and say, look, he can't play, you see? Oh, all right, Baker's garbage. He's terrible. Boy, how people have forgotten about a year ago. It was just a year ago they had 11 wins, and people were hemming and hawing and saying, oh, my God, wait till Odell's back next year. Wait till they get a couple other people back. This team's going to be unbelievable. They won a playoff game without their head coach. Nobody was ripping Baker a year ago. And you know what? When they played the Chiefs, they were in that game, Chris, for 3.5 quarters. They didn't get run off the field. And now he's the worst of the worst. He's a plague. He's name a bad quarterback. That's who he is. He's dog food for the dog pound. It ain't right. Baker Mayfield wasn't right most of the year. Let's just be honest. And it's fair to judge him how he played and played through injury. Anybody who will sit here and act like he was completely healthy and played this poorly is misleading you and giving you a false narrative. If you hear that on any other show, don't listen to it. Turn the station. Go listen to old reruns of Jim Rome. It ain't worth it.
Jim Rome's name comes out of your mouth a lot. What is up with you and Jim
Because I'm
Rome?
always trying to think of irrelevant radio shows. So it's the first one. I'm sorry.
All right, here, look, enough. All right, you said before the break, I was always Mr. Kumbaya. Who's Kumbaya now? Oh, Baker was injured. Baker had a boo-boo. Baker wasn't feeling right. Baker had aches and pains. How in the world did he go out there and play? Rob Parker is tackle football. It ain't touch. It ain't flag. It ain't 7-on-7. This is real deal. Hit or be hit. I'm trying to take you out, lay you out. Tough man football. That's what it is. Baker Mayfield's not the only guy that was playing hurt. Heck, most of the players out there are hurt. But you fight through it. Ezekiel Elliott, he's got a knee injury. He's playing through it. Tom Brady played all of last season on a torn MCL. Phillip Rivers once played on a torn ACL.
And it looked like it. Okay. Good.
And you want us to sit here and cry crocodile tears for one Baker Mayfield? Stop it! No. Now I'll give you that Baker Mayfield does have, I'll call it an explanation for his poor play, at least to some degree. And that is that he was banged up. And that has to factor into the evaluation. Doesn't mean he shouldn't have played through it. But it just means that when we're evaluating him, we understand Baker wasn't right. He gave it his all. He showed that he's tough. He tried to get us into the playoffs, and he couldn't largely because he was hurt. So, Rob, my answer to the question is simply Baker Mayfield should be back with the Cleveland Browns. I mean, yeah, if you can get Aaron Rodgers, but that's a pipe dream. Oh, I mean, yeah, if you can get Russell Wilson, but that's a pipe dream. Yeah, if you can get Deshaun Watson, but that's a pipe dream. Don't give up Baker for some quarterback on the same level, Jimmy Garoppolo, Kirk Cousins, even if they're a little better. Jameis Winston, having a nice little year with New Orleans till he got hurt, but he really isn't, Rob, that much more proven than Baker. So this is what I do. If I'm the Browns, I bring him back. I'm only paying him $18 million next year. Bring it back on a prove-it year. Get him healthy in the offseason. And Baker, let's see what you got. That's it. It's as simple as that. Because, Rob, here's the thing. You said it. Baker Mayfield did win the first playoff game since Cleveland returned to Cleveland, Rob.
Remember, that's the
a lot of
Cleveland
people might not
expansion
remember.
team.
They were gone. Yeah.
Right. The Cleveland Browns are the Baltimore Ravens.
Yes. That's right. And then they put an expansion team in Cleveland. And thankfully, and I think rightfully, Rob, let them have the Browns history, right? Yep. Name, history, uniforms, everything. But they hadn't won a playoff game until Baker Mayfield got there. They went back in 1999. They hadn't been to the playoffs in 18 years, as Rob said. Rob, they had 29 starting quarterbacks since they returned to Cleveland in 99. That's ridiculous.
Absolutely
Baker Mayfield,
ridiculous.
as crazy as his tenure's been to some degree, he's brought some stability. So I'm with you on that,
success.
Rob. You bring him, yeah, right. You got it, and success. There's no doubt about it. Now, we're not saying he's Aaron Rodgers. We're not saying he's even Joe Burrow or Josh Allen. But I do think, Rob, he's a quarterback you can win with. And bottom line, even if he isn't, we don't know that he isn't yet. Because to your point, he did play hurt. My only disagreement with you is that I think he should have played through it if he could, and he could. And so, But yeah, I think they bring him back.